So we're going to start off today by talking about writing estimates. In the past chapter, we covered jobs in the industry, materials used to perform the job. Today, we're going to talk about estimates and the importance of understanding an estimate. Who knows how to write an estimate correctly? Anybody in the crowd know how to write an estimate? What do you know about estimates? Just a little bit. You ever seen an estimate? What about you, Bradshaw? You ever seen an estimate?
No, never have seen one.
Okay. An estimate is very important in the different parts of an estimate. If you plan on becoming an auto collision technician or a shop owner, it's extremely important you know exactly what is on an estimate and all the parts of an estimate. As a shop owner, it could depend on the doors staying open or closing, whether you're going to keep your business going or you're going to close down. In this lesson, you'll be able to read, write, and estimate effectively, so stay tuned. Being an estimator is just like if you don't understand how to write an estimate, it's just like taking your wallet out of your pocket and just taking your money and throw it in the trash because you don't know, what's on the estimate. If you don't know how to read an estimate, it could mean you're not making money that week, or it could mean that somebody's not paying for what they're supposed to be paying for. So, in the end result, you need to know how to make sure you understand what an estimate is. I've got some handouts here. Basically some abbreviations from the chapter. There's a sheet that I had some other students write up on what parts need to be, so that way it'll keep you guys from having to go out in the shop. And there is a dummy paper estimate, something you would fill out when you're at the car, so that way when you get out there you can fill it all out so you don't have to run back and forth to the car. Because once you sit down at the computer, you should be ready to write the estimate and know every component of the vehicle. If you flip to the second page, Appendix B, you'll see where it talks about all the acronyms or the abbreviations. Each one of them has different meanings. You'll see like remove and replace a lot. You'll see O/H means overhaul. You'll see R&I means remove and install. Basically, that means you take the part on and off and you reuse that part. So all those abbreviations mean different things. VIN, you'll see this on the estimate. It says vehicle identification number. That's most important, and you need to make sure that it's decoded properly. So in the video or the item on the screen here, it's actually the company that makes the estimating software, CCC1. We're going to go through the different prompts of an estimate writing, so that way you can understand what each little tab here does and the importance of each tab. So if you would click play.
In a new window. The Workfile tab should look familiar to you. Many of the features and functionality of the CCC Pathways workfile is still here. It's just been reorganized and updated to make estimate writing more efficient. We will not go into all of the differences here. Instead, we will focus on just those things you need to know to create an estimate. Please see the CCC Pathways versus CCC1 differences presentation for more information on those key differences. To continue, the most notable change you should see here is that the information from the Admin tab is now displayed in the Contacts, Insurance, Inspection, and Rental tabs. Let's begin with the Contacts tab. The Contacts tab contains all owner, party, and any other contact information for this work file. The system defaults to adding the vehicle owner first. Then you can use the Add button to add additional parties or contacts. For practice, we will add Liam Hayes as our vehicle owner. Please click into the first name text box and type Liam.
Okay, so here it's going to show you that it's going to say what party. So if you clicked on this tab here, it shows you what each part is. You can pick insurance company. You can pick different people from this tab, individual or company. So if you had, for instance, if you had Bradshaw's welding company and he had a truck that was in a wreck and he wanted to make sure that he fixed it or whatever, then you can put the company name and you enter the company here. If you're using an individual, then you have to put their first and last name, because there may be two Smiths or whatever. You don't want to just put Smith in the file, because then you get the two files mixed up. You can put their email address, and that way if you want to send them emails or send them contact information, then you can also have that on file, and their address. And then over here to the right side, you have their phone number and which number it is, and if there's any kind of additional contact information there. So, but you can go ahead and hit the next play button. Yeah, right there.
You just go
You can add remaining parties and other contact information as needed. Another key field to complete on the Contacts tab is the Estimator field. This field tells the system who is writing the estimate. The estimator's name will appear on the printed estimate just as it did in CCC Pathways. Please select the highlighted employee as the estimator.
Okay, hit play again. It stops in between.
Next, let's take a look at the Insurance tab. Please click on the Insurance tab now.
Right here at the top, hit play again.
The Insurance tab displays. Here's where you add any required insurance information. As you can see, all insurance company information is located here in one place. For training purposes, we added the insurance company for you. Now click the Inspection tab.
Hit play.
The Inspection tab displays. Here's where all of the administrative details from Admin 1 and Admin 2 around the vehicle inspection are displayed. Enter required details as needed. Some fields will default automatically to your company information, such as address and phone numbers. Now let's turn our attention to the Vehicle tab. Please click on the Vehicle tab now.
So 1 second. So here you're going to put the appointment date. So let's just say that they call in and they say, Mr. McWilson, they say, we're going to have the appointment set up for 11/27/2012. Well, you want to make sure you put that in because a lot of times when you're dealing with insurance companies that they make sure that they keep up with when did you do it, because a lot of times they want you to do it within a 24-hour window. So date inspected, you want to put that down. That way you can keep a track of when the vehicle is inspected. Sometimes you'll also find out as being an estimator in a shop as they take the vehicle out and they use the vehicle again and they have another accident. Well, if you inspect it on this day, the other accident happened after the fact, then that way you know that you're covered for your portion of the estimate. So that way there's no loss in translation there. So anyway, you have the company name. Like I said, it'll automatically fill out there. Your email, your address, and all that kind of stuff automatically fills out for the inspection date because obviously that doesn't change unless you change facilities. So go ahead and hit play again, please.
The Vehicle tab in CCC Pathways had 3 views: Description, Damage, and Options. In CCC 1, the Description and Damage views are combined into one view called Description. The left side shows all of the vehicle information. The right allows you to add the damage. As you can see here, you can select a generic vehicle if needed. If you do not have a VIN, you can enter the year and make and then click the Select Standard Vehicle button to choose the vehicle. We have entered a VIN for you. Click the Decode button to enter the vehicle information automatically.
So here they've entered the piece of paper I gave you with that we're going to use from the vehicles in the shop. I've highlighted some of them are at the top that says VIN number. You're going to enter that here on the work file that you're going to do for me, and then you're going to hit decode. Well, if this is correct, then it should decode, and all the other information should fill in automatically. So it's going to say year and make. So let's just say you got a 2000 Chevrolet out there. It's going to go ahead and put that information in there, and it's going to fill out the other keys here. A lot of times you have to go in and put the engine because there may be more than one engine for that vehicle, but typically the VIN number will fill that out, but occasionally you have to fill that in. That's important if you keep up with that information because once you get into the estimate, it may say radiator for 4.8 or it may say radiator for 5.3. If you already kept, because that car may leave and go somewhere else and come back, whatever. So you may not have that. You don't want to have to call the customer and say, hey, what kind of engine do you have in that car? Or you have to call the dealer, so it just takes up more time. So anyway, finish filling out the mileage. It doesn't know how many miles from the dealer, so you have to fill out that to start or whatever, and that way you know how many miles. Let's say you had to take it out for a test drive after you repaired it, then obviously the mileage should be different from start to finish. So that way if your mechanic in your facility doesn't take it out for a test drive, then you can keep up with that. So in the production date comes in helpful for different parts. If it's before July of a year, then basically it's usually the prior year, and if it's after that, then it's, so a lot of times that production date helps you out as far as determining parts and paint and all that kind of stuff. So if you'll go ahead and hit play again, please.
The VIN decode checks for a valid VIN and then adds the year, make, and model. The Select Standard Vehicle screen may display if it does not decode the model. You may have to scroll to find the correct model in this case. Please click the OK button to choose the highlighted vehicle in our example.
Hit play again.
Now let's turn our attention to the vehicle damage. We have filled in the damage for you on our training estimate because the damage section works the same as it did in CCC Pathways. You will notice when you're writing estimates that the vehicle graphic will change to match the vehicle type, such as truck or sedan. Now let's take a quick look at the options view to see how it has been updated. Please click Options now.
Okay. So here you have repair for vehicle condition. So if it's good, if the vehicle has a lot of scratches and a lot of hail damage, it has a lot of prior damage, then you would want to rate it as, as according to the vehicle, the way it is. So primary point of impact, that's where it took the brunt of the damage. That's where the actual car hit the other car or hit the embankment or wherever it actually hit. Secondary point of impact is what we talked about, is saying, what after the primary impact, what hit, like if you hit the fender and it runs into the door, the fender actually hits the door. Well, the fender is the actual primary impact. The secondary damage is the fender hitting the door, so it's a cause, and it's a chain effect. Is what happened after the fact.
What about on hail damage where it's over the whole car? It says primary. What would it be?
The primary impact, a lot of times it says you can do, there's a drop down that says all over. You can put down all over, or if you can click primary and then you can do it, and then there's also a note section, impact note down here. You can put down hail damage all over vehicle and you can notate that. And you can also put in there a description of how large the hail damage, the average size is, so that way you can keep up with what's going on with the vehicle. And then it says prior damage note here. So let's say you're doing it for an insurance company. You want to mark down, you want to be very detailed and say front bumper prior burn damage, or you want to make sure that you're detailing that so that way they can see it, because the adjuster on the inside can look at that and say, this is what we need to know to make sure this vehicle, because if it has a lot of prior damage, then it may total out. So if you would go ahead and hit the play button again.
As you can see here, Vehicle Options now uses a tree structure to make adding or updating the options more efficient. As you make changes on the left, the right panel updates automatically to display the currently selected options. Now let's go to the Estimate tab to add our estimate lines. Please click the Estimate tab now.
So here you just, like I said, it's just to make sure the options are correct. Like I said, if you have a proper VIN number, then it decodes it, and then therefore it automatically fills all that in. And occasionally, let's say you're doing a F-150 that's a Harley-Davidson edition and it doesn't decode it as a Harley-Davidson edition, you may have to go back into this area here and click it. You getting all that, Mr. Schaefer? So you want to make sure that you click that and make sure that it's all filled out correctly, because if you have a front bumper and it's not clicked Harley-Davidson and you're estimating a standard F-150, then it's not going to be the same prices, because obviously a special customized vehicle is going to be a lot more expensive than it would be if it was a stock one. So go ahead and hit play again, please.
The Estimate tab displays. As you can see here, the Estimate tab has been updated to make it easier to use. There are still 3 views on the Estimate tab: lines, other charges, and totals. The database panel now has 3 sections: parts subgroups on the left, parts in the center, and graphics on the right. The next few slides will walk you through some of the key changes to the Estimate tab. Let's begin with parts selection. Now in CCC1, you can select multiple parts by clicking on the first part you want to add, pressing the Control key or the Shift key if the parts are next to each other, and then clicking on the additional parts. Once they are selected, right-click on one of the highlighted parts to use the pop-up menu, or click on the operations buttons above. We have selected the parts. Now you add them with the Replace operation. Please click on Replace now.
Okay, so you can see how she went over here to the groups. She didn't really touch on that, but you click on the group section, and then it brings down a big old column here that says door, fender, etc., and it breaks it down into the areas. So what she did is she clicked on rear door, and she's picking the components that are required to repair that in that rear door. So this is kind of an entry to what it's all about. As you scroll through the different prompts, we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. But just to give you a brief idea, or to kind of sum things up for today, to conclude the lesson, the estimate is an extremely important part of the repair process. It's not just the guy that sits behind the desk and answers the phone. It's the guy that makes sure that everything is followed through. So as from whether you're an insurance adjuster or you're an estimator at a shop, it's also making sure everything is ran properly. So knowing how to read an estimate, and it is detrimental to you is detrimental to you knowing how to do your job and keeping your job. So now I want you to pull up to the computer and let's practice writing some estimates. And that's it.